Welcome back to Talking Old School. Welcome back to today's very special edition of Talking Old School. Tribute to the 1969 Florida Gators. We are here taping in Gainesville at the 40th reunion of the 1969 Gators, and we're going to continue to talk everything, or the big upset over Houston, the many qualities that made the 69 Gators the exciting, entertaining, fun, and historic team that they were. And speaking of historic, they had the best record that Florida had ever had to that time, 9-1-1. That was back in days when you had a 10-game regular season. And they scored more points than any team except the 1928 team. And they shattered scores, dozens, maybe even, and probably hundreds of offensive records along the way. And right now we've got a great group of Gators, 69 Gators with us, and they include offensive captain Max Steen, defensive captain Tom Abdelnauer, starting defensive back, punt returner, and special teams playmaker Steve Tannen, and starting quarterback John Reeves. And let's go back. And guys, we explored the, I guess the way you guys came to get the word, the name Cinderella team, low expectations, somewhat ugly 1968, according to Mac. And you get into the season, you have, and there were a number of things that unfolded after, starting with third place 70-yard bomb from John Reeves to Carlos Alvarez for a touchdown against highly favored Houston. That game ended up 59-34 in favor of the Gators, and that was just kind of like a cork coming out of a champagne bottle. It led to a very unique and record-setting and great magical season for the Gators. And what I'd like to do in this segment is explore the many things that made the 69 Gators unique. And let's just go back to that 59-34 victory over Houston. And let's go, we'll go start with John Reeves. Can you tell us, John, where did that game plan come from? Because as we touched on briefly in the stat segment, the 68 Gators averaged 15 points a game. They scored 150 points the whole season. This was, as y'all said, through 2 touchdown passes. You guys, I guess, had 4 or 5 touchdown passes your very first game and scored 59 points. Tell us a little bit about how that shift into that much more high-powered, explosive offense.
Well, like Mike talked about, during the spring practice, Coach Pancos became our offensive coordinator, and he changed the offense entirely. We went to the split backfield and featured the sweep and the trap, and then the draw, and then basically the passing game that the NFL was featuring that day, with the 2 wideouts, a tight end, and 2 backs, and get 5 people out if we could, especially when we had an offensive line like we had. And so, we had a pretty good spring practice, and then a lot of us stayed around during the summer and continued to work. And then we went into 2-a-days. First of all, when we studied the film of Houston, they had lost 1 game the previous year, and that was to Florida State. And Florida State pitched the ball around pretty well, and Florida State beat them 40-20. So you watch the tape, and they played what's called man-free, cover 1. And their cornerbacks would line up, head up on the wide receivers about 5 yards off. Their strong safety head up on the tight end about 5 yards off with a free safety. So we started watching this and said, my God, nobody can cover that anyway. I don't care if you're Steve Tannen or Deion Sanders. Nobody can play man-to-man for 5 yards off that I know of. And so, but they played in a predominantly run conference there. And it is a good run defense because you have 8 guys in the box all the time. But Florida State scored 40 on them and upset them. And we watched that tape, and they had guys running free all over the field. Ron Sellers played for them then, and Kappelman. And so then we had a game, and I'll be quick. We had a scrimmage 2 weeks before the season started. I don't know if you guys remember. And we beat a combination of the freshman team and some of the guys 93-0. I don't know if you guys remember that, in a scrimmage. And I said, my God, there's something going on here. We got something cooking, So, just building up to that game was tremendous. And I'll never forget Coach Ellenson giving a speech before the game of how to stop the split-back veer, about that mesh point, where the quarterback would take the ball and bury it in the belly, and then he'd make the decision to give it to the guy, keep it, and then the option off the next guy. And he says, we're going to attack this mesh point right here. And he drew an X between the B gap, the guard to tackle. And sure enough, we scored on the 3rd play of the game, but the first play of the of their offense, Youngblood, I think it was, smashed in there right to that mesh point and caused a fumble. And here we are, 2 plays later, 1 play later, we're on a 30.
That's what I wanted to ask the defensive guys, Tom Abdelnauer and Steve Cannon, about before we go to talk about that explosive defensive end of that game early. I do want to, obviously everybody knows the legend now, the 70-yard bomb from Reeves to Alvarez on the 3rd play of the game. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about and how you chose to draw up that particular ball play?
Well, I'd always thrown the ball well deep, even in high school, threw a lot, threw the ball deep well, and had some receivers in high school that could catch the ball and go deep, and had experience with it. And in our freshman team, with Carlos and Andy, we threw the ball well deep as well, and we worked on it so much in the offseason that we had it down. And so, when we got the ball and we ran a couple of plays off tackle at first, well, Coach Pancoast and Carlos and I had actually talked about throwing the ball deep on them as we watched that tape. I said, hey, why don't we throw a bomb on the first play? I said to Coach, he says, well, we'll throw one early. So I had no idea on 3rd and 7 there on the 30 that he would send in. I remember the play, split left 79 streak. And here it was. And sure enough, I walk out there to the line. Hash marks were wider then, too. And Carlos was lined up a couple 3 yards outside the hash. And there was that little old cornerback sitting out there 5 yards off of him, And so it's simple. Great protection, took my steps, let it go. It was just like in practice. He caught it and ran it in there, and it sounded like a bomb exploded in the stadium right then and there.
Start to a great magical season. And as we were talking, people remember that 70-yard bomb. What people maybe don't remember is the defense came right back out and you guys had some big explosive plays of your own. And let's go to Tommy Abdelnauer to talk about those.
Yeah, and Gene Ellison was a mastermind of defensive calling. He knew what to do. He knew how to tell us how to prepare for it. And he put Jack right in the right place at the right time. Not only did we cause a fumble the first time they got the ball, we caused a fumble the second time they had the ball as well, and put us in a great position to score again.